What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Crafting Cars. Afton's in Florida, so I'm up. That means we're working on my 2011 STi. A couple of the upgrades we have coming is a quicker steering rack from Subaru, 13:1, as well as a new, to me, subframe and brace. And we're going to be showing some love to some components that are a little worse for wear. Let's get right into it. Now, the reason I ended up going with a new subframe is because on this older one, underneath, there's definitely some issues going on here between rust, as you can see. Bolts and threads and stuff are missing underneath there that are completely pulled out. So when I go to bolt this stuff back on, there's nothing for me to actually thread onto. I am going to be spraying this down, cleaning it, and then repainting it, just to give me the best chance possible of longevity on this thing. I've already made a little bit of progress here. Disconnected the tie rod ends. Steering rack is pretty much all ready to come out. I also disconnected the sway bar, obviously, because I pulled the whole thing out. This steering rack was already leaking really bad and not in good shape. On these Subarus, the steering rack ratio is 15:1, I believe, whereas on the 2015 up steering rack in the box, the steering ratio is 13:1. So it's going to be a lot tighter, a lot faster steering. But like I was saying earlier, some of the issues that I'm having are bolts are stripped or not. There's no threads left. This is a brace for the power steering rack, and with that not being tight, it's allowing the power steering rack to shift side to side. So as I'm floating, as I'm going down the road, the steering wheel's floating. Big no-no. Definitely don't like that. So yeah, I mean, look at those. There's no threads left in those. That didn't even have a bolt in it because it fell out. So I'll be much happier and calmer knowing that I have all this replaced with fresh stuff. I have the motor mount disconnected. I have all the control arm bolts here disconnected, as well as the bolt here, the through bolt there. So now if I grab here, I should just be able to, yeah, there we go. Okay, so now, there we go. That's what I want to do. Okay, so there, the lower control arm is completely swung out of the way. Undo the power steering lines up top here, since I am just going to, and I'm just going to be replacing the lines anyways. So I believe it's just, this is the return. Here we go. So I'll just pop this off, and then also the high pressure one. Yep, which is this guy right here. So I'll disconnect this one. I'll disconnect this one, and hopefully I'll be able to, along with the bracket here, and then hopefully I'll just be able to fish them all straight down with the subframe. There we go. All I'm going to do is pull this one out here, and then I'll go to the other side and pull this other one out. I'm just going to back this all the way out and then stick it back in with a few threads. Okay, now to the other side. Keep an eye on that. Very important to not forget to disconnect your steering linkage. There we go. Moment of truth. Let's see how she looks. That is a dirty steering rack. All right, cool beans. Yeah, this is what I forgot to disconnect. Completely spaced on it. So, but this is obviously the underside. So let's flip her over and make sure that it at least looks remotely the same. Woohoo! Beautiful. I'm back from the parts store. I have every bolt that I'm going to need. I got my paint that I'm going to be touching up on the subframe. I have all the bolts for mounting the power steering rack and getting that put back into the car, along with the new power steering lines. So that's awesome. So now out here I have the subframe. And I'm just going to be blasting with some brake parts cleaner because it will evaporate real quick. get all that off, and then I'll bring out the cardboard and we can get her all painted up. I brought the old one out now that I have all the paint and everything done on this one. I did bring the old one out just so I can line up the positioning on the two power steering lines coming out of here. They do it kind of strange. The larger one is a 17 and a 19, and the smaller one is an 18 and a 14. So if you're under the car, that's going to be a pain in the butt to find out. Unfortunately, my new lines did not come with this bracket or the bolt. Luckily, I had one laying around, and I just used the old bracket off this guy right here. Otherwise, though, everything's bolted in. I'll flip her up. Oh, there we go. So with it up, you can see I have all new hardware in here. Everywhere that hardware goes, that's the new line. Otherwise, I think that we are good to go. So I'm going to bring this inside, and then the next thing that I have to do yet is on the STi, the driver's side motor mount stripped out. So I have a new one here. So I'm just going to install this real quick off camera, put a new one on so I have some threads. I did get new motor mount nuts and bolts. All of these nuts and bolts, the ones that I put on the subframes and the ones that I'm putting on the car itself, are all high grade bolts, so don't need to worry about them breaking or snapping or anything like that. I'm going to knock that motor mount out, and then it's time for subframe and steering rack. And just like that, the new subframe is in with the power steering rack. All the bolts are tight up here connected to the frame. They say that these are supposed to be 74 foot-pounds, and then it says that the motor mounts here, and same thing on the other side, is supposed to be 63, but they were feeling mighty tight. So I got those to about 55 foot-pounds. No point in risking it. The weight of the motor's holding it down. These just need to be snug, and they're locked nuts so they aren't backing out. I also got the steering linkage reconnected and to the power steering rack, and the steering wheel is pretty straight, but that'll be fine-tuned when we take it to get an alignment. Alrighty guys, that's what I'm going to call it for today. We made really good progress. Unfortunately, some of the bolts and stuff, the condition of certain parts was fighting me a little bit more than what I was hoping. So it was a little bit slower going, but we made very good progress, and we will be able to wrap this up really quick in the next video. Do some test pulls, get in alignment, all that fun stuff. So I'm very excited. And with this being done, it's going to open up some room for some of the more fun projects, just like the RX-7 and Afton's widebody Civic. We got tons of plans for those for this summer, so you aren't going to want to miss anything. So make sure that you are subscribed. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.